There you go. That plug there was able to make it do that. So that made it very very easy. That made it very very easy. I had all the stuff. So I decided that I would do um, a broadcast talking about a subject that I had learned about recently and that maybe I didn't know a lot about, but I was passionate about. Um, it was a podcast on an article that I read about young girls getting venereal disease, getting sexually transmitted diseases, and I wanted to talk about the permissiveness of our society that led to this. So something I was passionate about. So I did. Um, 15 minutes. It seemed like 3 hours. I was all done. Poof, 15 in about 6 minutes. Um, but like a lot of things, you catch the bug. You're like, hey, that was fun. When it was over, that was fun. And because Blog Talk Radio had a chat room, there were people who were in the chat room that I saw, and they were commenting and they were agreeing with me, and they were cheering me on. So that was cool. And as it turned out, that show stayed socio and then went socio political and then went completely political. And I've been doing it since March 2008. Of 2,400 broadcasts just on Blog Talk Radio over the time. When I started, it was free, and now it's $39 a month. Eh, not something I care for, but we'll talk about that in future broadcasts too. But in any case, it was something that I was passionate about, and this is what it's always about. If you here's a question that I want you to ask yourself: why should you do a podcast? Now, a podcast for people who like to talk are people who are just like bloggers, really, just like bloggers. Um, and my answer to people is simply do a podcast if you are passionate about something that you can talk about. And let me add something to that. That you can talk about that in the long form. Remember how I said how, what I was, the first thing I talked about, I was all done in about 6 minutes and had 8 minutes to fill? Talk about something that you can talk about in the long form. That means that you can talk about again and again and again and again and continuously, and you could pick it apart a little bit here, a little bit there, here a little, there a little. That's what I'm talking about. Something that you can talk about in the long form. Talk about horse racing in the long form. I think you can. If you're passionate about horse racing, I think you can talk about that in the long form because the industry is changing. There's so many players. There's so many racetracks. There's so many horses and owners and trainers and stuff that continues to evolve. Which is why, frankly, there are so many political podcasts because the landscape changes almost on a daily basis. You see what I'm saying? So do a podcast if you're passionate about something that you can talk about on a long form. Okay, not just something that you have a bee in your bonnet about today, and really you don't have, after you've ranted and puked out all the stuff that you wanted to say, and you're done in a half an hour, and that you never want to get back to again. Please don't call that a podcast. Okay, because that's not really what podcasting is all about. Podcasting is again a vehicle by which you can talk about something in the long form. Um, I think that it has been an interesting journey for me because it is I'm distracted. I'm looking for my other slides here. Um, because it's always been a passion of mine to be on radio. Always been a passion of mine to be on radio. Um, And in my podcasting, I was able to spend 22 weeks. Seems like jail, right? I had to spend 22 weeks in the hole. 22 weeks on A60WGUL, which is a Salem Broadcasting network here in town, and it was a brokered radio program. And we'll talk more about what brokered radio programs are and whether you should do it, whether you shouldn't do it, as this series continues, because you're going to have, once you get started, you're going to have a bunch of questions about all that stuff. So today I just want to talk to you a little bit about what's important. There are some things to consider. And there are three things that I want you to consider right away. Only three things. See, I told you that I'll break this down for you. The first three things I want you to consider is content. The second thing I want you to consider is equipment. The third thing I want you to consider is content. Have I made my point? Of the first three things that I want you to consider, 2/3 of them is content. Because that, frankly, is the thing that is going to snag your audience, keep you interested, and make you consistent. It isn't how much equipment you can go out and buy. Because if you've got money, you can go out and buy all the hottest recording, podcasting mics and stands and voice synthesizers and blue blops and flip flops and rip them, slop them, and slip them. Get a gallon of light bulb grease and off you go. You can. Because there's always going to be somebody out there ready to sell you some equipment. Always. It's the nature of anything. It sort of reminds me of when I got into CBs, Citizen Band radios. My wife will tell you that, golly, I'm always into something, right? And I was into Citizen Band radios for a while. And because I like it, you know? And a lot of the CB guys said, you know what CB stands for? And I went, Citizens Band? No, it stands for constantly buying. That's what it means. It means constantly buying. And podcasting, if you're not careful, can be the very same way. Because there's always something new. There's always something different. There's always something that will make your podcast better. There's always something that'll upgrade your production value. Always. Something out there ready to get up in your wallet. I'm just gonna tell you. There's always something out there ready to get up in your wallet. However, those aren't the things that I think you have to worry about right away. These are the things that I think you have to worry about right away, especially with your first couple of podcast content. What is it that you're going to talk about? Yes. And what are you going to use to talk about it on? But more importantly, what are you going to talk about? Remember what I said? And can you talk about it in the long form? Can you talk about it? Can you have a 15-minute podcast and talk about everything you want to talk about and use every inch of that 15 minutes up and have enough for the next 15 minutes? Can you? Well, my suggestion for you is to find out. Write it down. Write it down. Write down what you want to talk about. Write down the points that you want to hit, the things that you think are important. Map it out. Now, I don't want you to write a script for your show. I don't want you to read a script, because there is nothing worse than listening to someone on the radio or on a podcast reading something to you. Well, it seems like yesterday I was going to... Shoot me. Stop. That's not what I'm talking about at all. What I'm talking about at all is sort of you want to talk about, and ask yourself questions as if there's someone listening to you. Because a lot of times you don't know if anybody's listening to you. Podcast and online radio, sometimes you don't know if there's anybody actually listening live. and we'll talk about all that stuff in later broadcasts. So don't think you're going to get everything today about podcasting, and you're never going to have to watch any more of me. Yes, I'm doing this broadcast on Sunday after church. We're probably going to move the time to Friday afternoon. We'll broadcast live on Friday afternoon. You can watch whenever you want, and we'll upload these shows to the the website. And right now, the website is being hosted on a Wix page, wix.com, on the free side of a Wix page, and does not have its own URL. But we hope to change that soon. And the only thing that changes that is a little scratchola, baby. But again, constantly buying. So we hope to change that in the next few weeks, maybe in a month. So all these shows are going to be housed on what will soon be the powerpodcasting.com website. All right, or the WillieLawsonShow.com website, or the Willie Lawson website, or some website that you can get to him directly. But you can always find him here on YouTube. Yay YouTube. And but anyway, as you're thinking about what you want to talk about in a particular program, let's say you're talking about, again, horse racing, and you're going to do a podcast on horse racing because you love horse racing. You think horse racing is the greatest thing ever. Who needs the NFL when you got horse racing, right? If anybody kneels doing a horse race, something bad has happened, right? So you may talk about your first cast. You may talk about your involvement in horse racing, and then you look at that, and then you start asking yourself questions as if you're somebody else, and then answer those questions. My suggestion, because I'm a musician by training, I'm a trained saxophonist, classical saxophonist, I'll have you know, is to practice. You may start, frankly, and this will be weird, but I'll tell you, this will help you more than anything. You may just start practicing in the mirror with your note saying, "Hi, my name is Willie Lawson, and this is horse racing for the rest of us." I've been involved in horse racing since 1937. I've owned race horses, and I am passionate about them, and I'd like to get you to be as passionate and understand what horse racing is all about. And then you'll say to yourself, you may ask yourself why people are interested in this sport. Well, I'll tell you why I'm interested in this sport. A lot of people say maybe horse racing really isn't a sport. Why do I think horse racing is a sport? And then you tell people why you think horse racing is a sport. Would people come to watch horse racing if there wasn't gambling involved in horse racing? Then you can answer those questions, because you have to sort of think of the questions that people will ask. Now, the cool thing is that if you put up a podcast about horse racing, a lot of horse race enthusiasts are looking for that stuff and will find you. But it's important that you start off, and then you can get into what's happening in horse racing today, and on and on and on and on. You see what I'm saying? So there you go. But the first thing is content. The second thing is equipment. Because if your podcast sounds like Dudukaka, people are going to listen for about a minute. Yeah. If you sound like you're talking in a can, a tin can. I sound like Mark Levin, don't I? Let's see. If your podcast sounds like this, no one will want to listen. If your podcast sounds like this, no one will listen, no matter how smart you are. I'm just saying. Okay? Get it. So, equipment. Now, there's all sorts of equipment to be had. My suggestion is to buy as much microphone as you can afford. Now, if you can afford a USB microphone, a Rode microphone, RODE microphone, one of those, that costs $900, on the stand, if you can afford one of those ribbon mics that you may spend $1,500 on, if you can afford that, and you're able to eat and pay your rent or your mortgage, and your kids can still go to daycare, then rock on. My suggestion is don't do that. My suggestion is to go to your local music store. I would have said go to your local Radio Shack store, but they're all gone, sadly. That's why I drink now. But you can find, even in your local music store, you can find a lot of microphones, especially USB microphones. And I mention USB microphones because they hook directly to your computer. You don't need a mixer. Oh, and you're wondering, a mixer? What are you talking about, Willie? Oh. Hang on. You don't need one of these. Now this is a USB mixer. This is actually a very good little USB mixer that I'm not using for this broadcast. It will be, and I'll explain these kind of USB mixers to you on future broadcasts. Or you don't need a. Hang on a second. I got one of those too. See, I've already done all of this for you. I've already done all of this for you, so there isn't any reason for you to do it for yourself. This is a Steinberg. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. This is a Steinberg audio interface where you can put a regular microphone in it, and comes out of the back in USB or whatever, an audio interface that you can actually, isn't that cool? You can actually plug into your mixer if you want to. You don't need one of these either. Yeah, I got them, I know. CB, constantly buying. Let's see if I can do this without unplugging it, though. If my light goes away. No, it didn't go away. I'm just messing with you. This is a really cool microphone, I think. This is a Samson. You can get it from Sam Ash. A Samson Meteor. It has got a connection, a USB connection in the back. You see that? And a USB connection that attaches to your computer. It doesn't need any special software or anything. You just plug it in, and then you will hear the little USB sound, and it works. And there's the equipment. That's the most important part, and of course, your computer. Some people don't even use a computer to do their podcasting, but we'll talk about that too, because I've got a couple of those things too. Constantly buying. But it's the content that matters. It is. Now, if you've got questions about what we've talked about, even a little bit about what we've talked about so far, do this for me. Send me an email at wls860@gmail.com or powerpodcasting@gmail.com. Powerpodcasting@gmail.com. Because I want this to be about what you're interested in. You know, what are you interested in? I mean, as you take this journey, and I want to go on this journey with you. I do. I want to go on this journey with you because I think that I believe like Gary Vaynerchuk, audio is not only coming back, but it is truly because, and we'll talk about this too in future broadcasts, because of the size of the files. They are more transportable than anything. Yes, video is out there, and video right now may be prominent, but video is a lot harder to move around, a lot harder to take with you. The video files take up more room and require more memory and require a camera and require lighting and when frankly an audio file, an MP3 file, is very small. And almost every device, whether it's a computer, whether it's a laptop, whether it's your telephone, your old iPod which is where it got, podcast got the name because they were distributed and played on iPods. They're a lot easier to transport. They're a lot easier. They can be everywhere, and that's what the coolest thing is. They can be everywhere. Almost everything plays them. The MP3 is a universal format. Everything plays MP3 files. Everything does. It doesn't matter what brand it is, whether it's Apple, Zoom, PC, Samsung, whatever. And that's the coolest part. So you can literally be everywhere without having to worry about, well, I did this podcast on my PC. Can my friends who have Apple listen to it? Well, yeah. Can they listen to it on their iPad? Yes. 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 Which is why this medium is, I think, still the best medium going. Listen, I'm gonna take a little break and introduce you to one of my friends, a guy who's been my affiliate partner for a long time. My friend Gary Knight at New Homes of Tampa Bay. We'll be right back after this. With the Willie Lawson Show, and we're at the Promenade here at Lake Park, a great community in West Hillsborough County. If you want to know more about the Promenade and some of the important factors about the Promenade, make sure you hook up with my friend Gary James Knight at New Homes of Tampa Bay. That's www.newhomestpa.com. www.newhomestpa.com. All right, New Home Tampa Bay. At the Promenade, Lake Park. For more information, contact my friend Gary Knight at newhomestpa.com. The music you heard was by my friend BD Lenz at bdlenz.com, www.bdlenz.com, and we'll talk about all that stuff in future broadcasts. If this was beneficial to you, or if you think it's going to be beneficial to you, send me an email, WLS860@gmail.com or powerpodcasting@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Time to get out of here and have some lunch. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. And for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Peace.